Hello everyone and welcome back to this journey through a world of important news and geopolitical events. Today is 28th of August, now it's 15 past 11 in the morning Moscow time. I'm Levan Gudadze and this is my first update for the day in which I will share all the main news that are making headlines in Russian media outlets and Russian language pages on different internet platforms. As you can see, I'm beginning this update from the Red Square, where I did end the previous walk and talk type of update a few days ago. And before I start, let me show you some panoramic view of this area. Of course, all of you are seeing this videos from this area many times before. I'm quite sure about it. And now news. And when it comes to major developments, of course, breaking news for this moment is that Zelensky and his associates once again they try to strike in direction of Moscow. And according to latest news, that Russian Defense Ministry and Mayor of Moscow, Sergei Sobyanin, did share with public. Ukrainian drone was shot down in its approach to Moscow in Lyubertsy area of Moscow region. And I did read a statement from Mayor of Moscow, Sobyanin, and in his statement there was no report about any casualties or damage on the ground. Unfortunately, I have to repeat myself that this is not the first and, sorry to say, but I guess not the last attempt from Zelensky and Kyiv regime to strike in the direction of Moscow. But what we can say for this moment is that Russian militaries, Russian air defense systems are well prepared and are well equipped to cope with these threats, and they did demonstrate it many times before. And that's been said, let's talk about some other news. And first of all, of course, a short summary of the situation on the front line. From reports that I did read this morning, we can assume that no extremely significant changes did occur on the front line. It's mainly deadlock, although local scale operations, of course, are conducted by both sides. When it comes to Kherson region, it's mainly artillery duels and the constant fight for control over these small islands on the Dnieper River. When it comes to Zaporozhye and South Donetsk direction, of course, main hotspots are Rabotino settlement on the southern side of Orekhov city and Vremovsky Ledge. So when it comes to Zaporozhye sector, during the previous 24 to 48 hours, we did see some decrease in activity in comparison to previous days, which may be because Ukrainian forces, despite all the attempts, were unable to establish full control over the Rabotino, and in that case, they are just extremely risking to end up in a cold room, which will eventually will probably happen. It's only a matter of time at this point. And even military experts and the big channels on YouTube, for example, are now beginning to talk about possibility that these Ukrainian forces in areas of Rabotino and Verbovo may end up in cold room and entire this operation from Russian side with step-by-step withdrawal from line of contact, maybe from the very beginning some kind of trap. But yet again, let's wait and see. As I mentioned during the previous 24 to 48 hours, it's becoming noticeable that activity from Ukrainian side did decrease quite significantly. Things may change anytime, but that's information that we are getting for this moment. And when it comes to, by the way, let me share videos from this area. You all gonna recognize, of course. This is Eternal Fire, memorial to all heroes of Great Patriotic War, and by the way, you would not be surprised, I guess, if I will say that all of us in former Soviet Union republics, in Russia, are descendants, or majority of us, let me say this way, are descendants of heroes of Great Patriotic War. My grandfather was participating in that war. He was in military intelligence unit, and he did fought entire war, and after war he did stay in army, and he retired from army. And well, here in Russia, of course, Great Patriotic War, and all the heroes who literally fight for us, are extremely respected, how it's supposed to be. And now let's talk about some other news. I was on South Donetsk direction, and by the way, we are now in not far away from Kremlin. This is Alexandrovsky Sady. It's Alexandrovsky Gardens in English. I guess that's interpretation in English. And oh, let's go that way. And well, when it comes to South Donetsk direction, situation is quite calm in that area for last several days. If we are noticing decrease in activity on Zaporozhye front just in last 12 to 24, let's say 48 hours, then in Removsky salient area, this kind of decrease have been noticed was noticeable for at least a week now, I guess. And this is, in my understanding, due to increased lack of manpower on part of Zelensky and his associates. So there is no significant activity on South Donetsk sector of the front, and we can say almost the same, with some differences about Donetsk and sector of the front and the northern sectors, even though they are constant local scale. Let me share with you this nice view here. And yes, even though on Donetsk sector, of course, Marinka, Krasnogorovka, and Avdeevka are constant hotspots. We did not see any breakthrough from anyone's side. Mainly just artillery duels and recon operations, even though Russian side, in my understanding, quite effective to distract communication lines of Ukrainian forces, logistical lines, which did play its role in decrease of activity on Vremovsky salient, also because Ukrainian forces in Ugledar area and on Vremovsky salient area are using at least partially very same logistical lines that are that the Ukrainian forces on Donetsk sector of the front, where Russian forces are active and constantly destructing this or destroying this communication and logistical lines. And when it comes to northern sectors of the front, it's mainly yet again artillery duels and recon operations between the sides. As I said many times before, when we are talking about northern sectors, there is only one question: when Moscow will authorize large-scale offensive from Seversk and Liman up to Kupiansk and the entire Kharkov region. That's how improved or how prepared Russian positions for large-scale offensive operations are in those areas. And this is when it comes to short summary of the situation on the front line. I will continue from some other areas because there is quite a few news to talk about. We are now on Maneshka Square. Behind me you can see Four Seasons Hotel, and on the right corner there it's State Duma building, Parliament of Russian Federation. And let's continue with news. And by the way, let me notice that under this square, it's a shopping mall, several floors of shopping mall, and under that shopping mall is also lines of Moscow's metro. So yes, when it comes to news, next report is about Russian strike on the Ukrainian airfield not far away from Kyiv, in the Kyiv region. According to Russian Defense Ministry, with use of precision guided missiles, where one airfield was struck in Kyiv region, and I guess this was attempt from Moscow to neutralize not just airfields but also means in hands of Zelensky and his associates to conduct airstrikes and to possibly to launch drones. Maybe some drone building facilities were in that area. I guess during the day Russian Defense Ministry will share with us some additional information. And while we are discussing topic of aviation, yesterday Russian Defense Ministry did report that in several sectors of the front line, Russian air defense systems did manage to shut down at least one Ukrainian Su-25 attack plane and also Mi-8 transport helicopter. But according to additional reports, one more Su-25 was shut down by Russian air defense systems during the previous 48 hours, let's say this way. I guess many of you have a question: how many planes do Zelensky's regime has left? And that's a legit $1 million question, because I'm also asking very same. And well, who knows, hard to tell. I guess so-called Western elites did try to find Soviet airplanes all around the world and deliver to Zelensky and his associates, and probably we will learn how many exactly Soviet airplanes were delivered to Ukraine. We will learn about it only after this conflict will end, probably. So this is still Alexandrovsky Sady, Alexandrovsky Gardens, and I want to share with you a few images from this very nice garden, very nice area. And right there, next to Kremlin wall, you can see monument of Alexander the First, Emperor of Russia. And well, it's sun again, so I will take glasses. So let's talk about news again. And next news, by the way, is also about aviation, because we have reports that defense minister of this failed state under the name of Ukraine, Reznikov, did make statement that Ukraine may receive first bunch of US-made F-16 fighter jets towards end of the winter, in spring. It's up to us if we will take seriously this kind of statements from officials of Kyiv regime. Me personally, I have some serious doubts that Zelensky and his associates will ever have any control, any real control over any Western-made fighter jets. It just seems extremely unreal, such a development. But well, let's wait and see. And when it comes to Kyiv regime and Kyiv itself, we also had reports on Russian media that hundreds of citizens of Ukraine did gather in central part of Kyiv yesterday and conducted a demonstration, which is quite unusual for modern day Ukraine. And according to news that we are receiving, people during this march were demanding from Ukraine's current government to conduct negotiations with the Russian side to conduct exchange of POWs and free Ukrainian soldiers in Russian captivity that end up being prisoners of the war in 2022. It seems like members of those POWs, members of families of Ukrainian POWs, and oh, by the way, let me also share this image here. Moscow is really nice town, many nice areas in the city, and well, it seems like members of families of Ukrainian POWs and the close ones have some doubts that Zelensky and his associates even care about citizens of Ukraine that end up in идем, доча, быстрее, end up in captivity. But yet again, I wanted to share this information with you because we do not really hear that often information that any group of people are conducting any demonstrations or any actions in modern Ukraine. Few more news about some political stuff, and then several informations about economical developments. and the relationship between the countries. And by the way, let me tell you where we are right now. We are moving towards Moscow River, and I wanted to show you Kremlin Wall from side of riverbank, so I will manage to do so, I guess. And I'm here with my family. Whenever we have an opportunity, we always come to Moscow together. To this time, you know, now they are just waiting to me when I will end the recording of this video. Then I have to upload this video, and well, I'm working, but after that we will have some walk around. Anyway, let me continue with news. And well, next information is about grain deal. RIA Novosti, Russian news agency, and many other media outlets did report that UN and Turkey did conducted some negotiations, and they are now hoping that during the Erdogan's visit in Moscow, some achievement will be possible between Turkish and Russian sides. And I guess just a sec. Ребят, мне надо перейти. Не оттуда надо снимать. So I guess especially Turkish government is hoping for some deal with Kremlin, so that grain deal will start working again in one form or another, because for Turkey this deal was quite important for many reasons. And well, let's cross this road now, and well, that's what I want to image that I want to share with you. We are on the bank of Moscow River, and for a second I will share with you image of this area. I did notice that many of you did like my video a few days ago from Moscow, especially this type of video when I'm recording from different spots. And I'm trying right now to do something similar. Hopefully you will find this update interesting, not just because of news, but also because of these views of Moscow. And well, let's continue with news. It's not really sunny, so I can take off these glasses. So let me check for a second. And yes, next news is also very interesting, because yesterday, head of RT, Russia Today, Margarita Simonyan, did made a statement that former Fox anchor Tucker Carlson, who had the most popular show on the Fox network, and I guess in the US. Well, Tucker Carlson did ask for interview with Vladimir Putin, and my prediction is that he will probably be granted with some time to spend around Putin to take interview. And by the way, that interview gonna be no less popular, I will say, than a recent interview of Carlson with the former president of US, Trump. I guess many people worldwide will tune in to watch and listen to that interview. Let's see. We didn't have had yet official statement from press spokesman of Putin about this interview, but I think there is no reason for Putin to deny interview to Carlson. So that's gonna be something really interesting. And also, by the way, several quite important news. TASS news agency is reporting that EU wants a new military mission in Africa, especially in the West Africa, which is definitely indicator that current leadership of France is continuing its push to re-establish control over the Niger. Let's see how successful this attempt will be. And excuse me, and EU, Brussels are basically playing this game along with the leadership of France, and are now officially are declaring that they want to conduct some police and military operation, partially humanitarian. Of course, they're gonna come up with some words that this is not pure military action. No, this is all about humanism and kindness. But in reality, well, we all know how humanist and decent so-called Western elites are. And by the way, also interesting news from Indo-Pacific region. Head of 7th Fleet of US, if I'm not mistaken, it made statement that US is US is planning to become more active in Southeast Asia, and US will do its best to somehow oppose constant increase of influence of China and Chinese fleet in this regard. And this statement was made because just recently there was some incident between Chinese Navy ship and the Philippines Navy ship. And well, I guess because US is positioning itself as an ally of Philippines, head of 7th Fleet was ordered to say something, and he came up with this crazy statement that US will become more active to oppose increase of Chinese influence in the region. Well, unfortunately, probably you will also see the threat, like I do, that a main danger for world when it comes to, let's say, global crisis is the threat of war between US and China, between US allies and China and the Chinese allies. And well, one can only hope that somehow this confrontation between West and East will be avoided. But we are receiving on daily basis basically informations that US is constantly escalating with China, almost on weekly basis we have information that Taiwan will receive this bunch of weapons, that bunch of weapons. US bases increasing in numbers in the Pacific region. So there is not that many reasons really for optimism, at least for this moment. Let me once again show you this area. What the hell, man? This big car have to pass right now in this area. So there are quite a few more news that I want to share with you in this update, and I will continue from next place. So a few more news about economical developments. So first of all, RIA Novosti, Russian news agency, did report that trade in between Russia and India since the beginning of this year increased 300%, almost 300%, which is a great number, up to 33 billion, for this moment, little bit more. And by the way, what is also interesting, first time for a long time, India did bought from Russia uranium for domestic use, for use on its nuclear projects. I guess we are talking about peaceful nuclear energy, which is quite significant development. And also let me share with you one more interesting news. Silvanov, finance minister of Russia, did made a statement that despite turbulence that Russian ruble did enter this year, despite all the Western pressure and sanctions, Russian GDP, according to latest estimates of Russian finance ministry, will grow at least 2.5%, which is quite significant number. And same time, Silvanov did mention that this growth in economy significantly plays significant role in minimal unemployment rate in Russia, which is about 3% right now. So yet again, these numbers definitely are highlighting that despite certain problems, certain issues, Russian economy is still doing quite okay, and not just recovering, but even managing to grow significantly more in percentage point than many, let's say, Western European states. And the last news for today's update is going to be about space. According to TASS news agency, RIA Novosti news agency, and all the other media outlets, main media outlets in Russia, Roscosmos did announce that in 2025 or 2026 they may try once again to land a lunar probe on the moon. As you know, just about a week ago, Russian lunar probe failed to land successfully on the moon, and as I understand, Roscosmos is determined to continue this program, and well, let's hope in 25 or 26 they will manage to successfully successfully land a lunar probe on the moon, on the southern pole of the moon, where just a few days ago, on 23rd of August, Indian lunar probe did made successful landing. And this is it. This is it for today's update. Hopefully, you will find this video interesting. Not just, as I said a few minutes ago, not just because of news, but also because of these views of Moscow. In future, I will probably, whenever we will be in Moscow, or I will be in Moscow, I will definitely try to make this type of updates. But anyway, if you find this video interesting, please click that like button, leave some commentary about any topic you like. Unfortunately, I will be at home late afternoon, in the evening even, and during the day I would not. I will probably have no opportunity to be active in the comment section, but I will react on comments once we will go back to Dmitrov. And by the way, if you think this channel is interesting, informative, useful, and deserves to exist in this field of news and political commentary, please consider to support with small donations through PayPal, Buy Me a Coffee, or by subscribing to my Patreon page. You will see links under this video in the description box or in the pinned comment. This is it for now. Take care.